Our press pass conversation this week is with T. Boone Pickens, who is here in Washington, talking about the Pickens plan and the energy needs that this country faces. We have you here on pretty close to the Meet the Press set, and we're glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Let me ask you about what always comes up in the energy debate, and that's gas prices, and that's what people are talking about.
When you say that, say gasoline.
Okay. Right, because we're not talking about natural gas.
Exactly.
More
gasoline. People think that when somebody says gas,
right. The price at the pump, gasoline, how high is it going to go?
Well, that's I think is going to be an ongoing situation, and consequently that will cause prices to get higher. But they've already told you now, I think it was either yesterday or today, maybe this morning early, they've got it's going to take $94 a barrel for them to balance their budget. Apparently they operate with a balanced budget. We don't know what that is in this country, but they're gonna pay as they go, I guess.
Who's they? Who's the they?
I think the Saudis this time said it would take $94 a barrel for them. So it just tells you that it's 94 plus. So plus what? And the Libyan oil, when you pull 1.6 million of theirs off, and the Saudis say, "Don't worry about it, we can cover it." No, they can't, because they don't have the same quality oil the Libyans do. Mm-hmm. So what the Saudis are going to cover with is not what people want. So what does that do? It just tightens the market again for you. Our demand was up today in the United States, and so you're already 4 plus on the national price. I think it's 383 or something like that. But California is 4 plus, and you got 4 other places around the country, so it'd be 4 plus. Could you go to 5? You could, if some of these things came apart over in the Mideast. But you also have a Nigerian problem that nobody even has focused on. Mm-hmm. That's big. So I think you'll see $125 oil.
$125 for a barrel.
Per barrel,
yeah, per barrel. At a time when we're in a fragile economic recovery, that could hurt.
It could hurt. But there's the reason all this is happening is supply and demand are getting very, very close, and supply is having a hard time meeting demand. And so if you look projections fourth quarter, it's 90 million barrels a day is demand. And I don't think you can produce over 88.
A year after the Gulf oil spill, what's the status of domestic drilling? How big of a setback?
Well, you shut down the Gulf, and those were some of your best, reserves to develop. You're doing very well. The industry is in the Williston Basin and Eagle Ford Shale, and in the continental United States, that the industry is doing a good job. We're over 7 million barrels a day, and that's good for us. So it's did it hurt us? Sure, but the thing about it is that oil's not going to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. So if we were producing it today, it'd mean we didn't have it tomorrow.
Is the industry safe enough? Is it getting safer?
Well, let's review that just for a second. I mean, that was the only two blowouts we had. People refer to it as a spill. It wasn't a spill. They didn't spill anything. They blew it out of the ground under high pressure. And so you've had 2 of those. One of them was in the Santa Barbara Channel, and 50 years ago, and you had this one. And to me, I know what I'm talking about on this subject. You had really, it was pilot error is what you had. I mean, it was some bad engineering is what caused the problem.
Let me ask you about the Pickens plan and about the president's promises to go in that direction to reduce our dependency on foreign sources of energy. Are you disappointed in his leadership?
The president? Yes. On this, yes. Are you talking about generally, or are you talking
well, I'm talking about this particular area in energy.
Well, I remember very well what he said when he was nominated. He said that in 10 years we will not import any oil from the Mideast. We're almost 3 years deep now from when he made that statement. He said it again in the 4th debate with Schiefer. And I talked to Bob the week before, and he said, "What energy question would you ask these guys?" I said, "Ask them how long we're going to import oil from the enemy." And he said, "That's a little bit raw. I'm not sure I can say that." I'm going to answer the question, but I want to go to it this way, that we import 13 million barrels of oil a day. And the oil that bothers me is the 5 million we get from OPEC. That I'm convinced, as Jim Woolsey in a June 9th 2010 Wall Street Journal article, op-ed piece, clearly shows that you're paying for both sides of the war. And I think that's stupid for us to do this. I think the rest of the world sees what we're doing, and they don't understand it. So here, now go back to President Obama, when he was nominated, and in the fourth debate, he said the same thing. 10 years, we will not import any oil from the Mideast. There's been no plan put forth that I've seen, and since he's been president, to accomplish that, unless he started talking about natural gas. And when you get down to it, we don't have a number of options. You have only one fuel in the United States that's going to replace imported oil. Now, you say, okay, we can go electric light duty. That's fine with me. Anything American's fine with me. I want to fix the $5 million that we get from OPEC. And I know I can get my biggest piece off the heavy-duty 18-wheelers. If I get all 8 million of those, and it's going to take me 7 years to do it, I can cut OPEC in half. That's 2.5 million barrels a day. And we would what we'd use is natural gas to replace diesel. 1 MCF of natural gas equals 7 gallons of diesel. What's that in dollars? You're talking about $4 for the gas, and that's $4 gas is going to replace $30 worth of diesel. It's the most unbelievable opportunity for America to get on our own resources, and it's cheaper and cleaner.
But as long as you've been at this now, what seems to be standing in the way? In this town, politically, political will, what other kind of opposition?
You know, it's interesting. The bill, our key bill, was entered, and it was H.R. 1380, was entered on April 6th. And we have, yesterday, we had 178 co-sponsors, and half of them are Democrats and half Republicans. It's not a it's not a bill. It's a nonpartisan issue, and it's going to pass. It has to pass.
You're going to do something about it.
Well, I've worked so damn hard on this, and I know what the problem is. We have to start getting on our own resources, and if we don't do 40 years, we've gone without an energy plan in America. 40 years, and we use, out of the 88 million barrels that's produced every day in the world, we're using 21 million of it, about 25%, with 4% of the population. Well, that's not sustainable. I mean, we can be immediately, singled out. Hey, you're using so much oil, you're running the price up. You're the cause, and that'd be a tough. I wouldn't want to try to defend the other side of that argument. In conclusion on that point, so your demand is going up to 90 million barrels a day in the fourth quarter of this year, and you can only produce 88. The only way you can kill the demand is with price. So you got to run the price up.
On leadership concerning this issue, and more generally, you look at that Republican field right now. What do you think? Who's your guy or gal?
Well, I'll tell you who filed the bill was John Sullivan and Dan Board and Kevin.
I'm asking about the presidential race. I'm asking this primary field right now. Presidential race. Who do you like there among the Republicans?
Oh, hell, I don't have. Now, why do you say Republican? I'm out of politics. I made a deal with Harry Reid.
You mean you'd vote for a Democrat for president?
That's a tough question. I don't know. I don't know who's in the race.
Well, would you vote for President Obama?
I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't.
Well, among the Republicans who are out there, is there anybody you can support
I don't
right
see
now?
The one I want yet. But I don't have to decide here on David's program.
What about Donald Trump? You think he's a serious candidate?
Probably not.
No?
Probably not.
He's getting a lot of attention. He's even leading in the polls right now among primary voters on the Republican side.
I find Donald, he's entertaining.
But not somebody you'd think of seriously?
Well, I don't know. Let's see how it unfolds. I mean, to try to answer that question here, he put me back on energy, and I feel very comfortable.
Well, on energy, who do you see on the Republican side of the aisle, a potential nominee, who's most serious about implementing the kind of policy that you'd like to see?
On the Republican side?
Yeah, on the Republican side.
I don't find anybody against me. But, David, it's real simple. If you're against me, you know what you're for? Foreign oil. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And nobody's going to take that position. So by the time we get to the election, I promise you, they'll all be with me.
Seems like a good place to end. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate it.